All right, let's do this shit. Okay, so I originally recorded this video on the sunbed there, and it was like laying out, but I didn't feel comfortable filming a whole like 10-20 minute video of me just half naked, just laying in front of you with my disgusting ass feet on the camera. I feel like as a guy, you don't want to watch some other man laid out just like he's from Titanic getting painted like one of the French girls. So I didn't do that, and instead I'm just here now, just filming this video, just gonna stand like a weirdo with my tiny ass pants that I haven't worn in years. Got holes everywhere in them, but YOLO, that's how we do shit on this channel. We just keep it raw, keep it real. And yeah, on that note, this video has no particular notes, but we are going to be talking about the purpose of environment and also the fact that you are what you consume, okay? So this is a very common thing. I don't want to just like speak about cliche shit on this channel where it's like, you can do it, you can be motivational, you know, you can follow your dreams, all this bullshit. I often do say things like that, but something that is not focused on enough is that if you aren't where you want to be in life, whether that is your health or your relationships or whatever, and believe me, I'm not where I want to be in life. I'm not here to say that I've achieved the ultimate outcome of any of this bullshit, but at least on a exercise, physique, mental health level, I'm very, very happy, very, very confident. And the times when I'm not confident, the times when I'm not happy, the times when I am a little bit depressed, if you want to throw around that word like everyone else these days, or the times when I'm just generally just not feeling fulfilled internally on a spiritual, purpose-filled level. It's the times when I am doing shit that I know I don't need to do, and additionally, it's when I'm in environments that aren't conducive to my success and I know it, okay? So very often, especially with the way this world has been set up, you will find yourself in environments that are not aligned with the ideal identity that you're trying to reach. So if you think about two versions of yourself, you've got your current self, which is you day to day doing shit every single day. You know, you're going to work, you're eating food, you're hanging out with your wife or girlfriend or whatever it is, or anyone really, friends, whoever. And then you've also got your ideal self, okay? So this is almost like a future version of you if they were to do every single action possible in the correct way to lead you to your most successful self, if that makes sense. So if you think about you and you think, okay, every single day, like, and believe me, like, you can't bullshit me, I don't bullshit myself. Like, we as humans know exactly what we need to do on a day-to-day, hourly basis, but we don't do it, okay? So imagine the ideal version of you. He's doing the exact same shit every single day as you, except he's optimizing for the most beneficial actions within that to help him achieve his desired outcome, okay? So instead of going to the fridge and eating some dog shit like you probably always do, you're going to the gym, you're going to the fridge and you're, you know, picking out the exact thing that you know you need to eat, the exact gram, the exact amount, and you just eat that shit and you just move on with your life and you don't complain, okay? That is the ideal version of you. A lot of the times when we try to align ourselves with that ideal version, it can be really difficult because even if internally we feel like we're on the right path to success or we're on the right path to becoming that ideal self, the environment is not set up for that, okay? So recently I've been in Sydney for the past like 5 days. I don't live in Sydney currently, but just decided to go down there, meet up with some clients, have a bit of fun, do a bit of silly shit, mess with people in public, and you know, all of that was successful. But one of the biggest things I realized was that your environment really, really matters. And it's not just about like, you know, being in an environment where you can like flourish and everyone's supportive and all this bullshit. Like, that's important, of course, but the environment is so much more than just the people you have around you or just the actual location that you're in, okay? Your environment is everything that you consume, okay? So not just like, you know, eating. We commonly say you are what you eat or you are what you consume, some bullshit like that. It's not just about what you're putting in your mouth and what you're digesting. It's literally about what is going into your 5 senses, okay? So, you know, we can go on a very, very microscopic level, talk about like everything that you touch and all that bullshit. Of course, it has an effect on you. But all of these things combined make up your environment. So when I was in Sydney, it's often, you know, again, just going off the top of my dome, guys, but where I live currently, beautiful place, absolutely amazing people, lots of cool shit going on, but I'm the type of person that wants to achieve more out of life. I'm sure if you're watching this video, especially if you've watched it this far, you're the type of person who wants more as well, okay? You're trying to get to that next level, whether that's in your physique, relationships, whatever, okay? Oftentimes when you're in an environment like this, you can forget that the shit that you are chasing, the ideal self, is actually out there, But when you're in an environment that is not aligned with that ideal self, you can actually forget that it's even possible to reach that, okay? It's like, for example, if you were more of a materialistic person, which is totally fine, actually, I think that's sick. Whatever helps you achieve your goal, that's awesome. But if you're a bit more materialistic and you want a really nice car and you want a Porsche or whatever you want, I like these things, I think they're sick. If you're that type of person and you want those things, but you're in an environment where it doesn't have those things to constantly remind you, then you are going to go off track, or at least you're going to not be as aligned as if you were in an environment like that, okay? So where I live, it's not a poor area or anything. As you can see, I've got a sick ass pool, but there's not a lot of really nice fancy cars. You don't see it often. Probably the best I see is like a Porsche here and there, right? But you go down to Sydney, you walk the main street, Ferrari, guy walking down the street, $30,000 watch on his wrist, you know, hot girl walks past, blah, 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 right? You have all these constant reminders of like, oh shit, wait, this stuff is actually real, it's within my grasp, it's in my immediate environment, why can't I get this shit? And you'll commonly come up with some shit like, oh no, I've always been fat my whole life, I can never get a physique like that, or I've always been broke, or, you know, you can't do that while you're young or old, or some bullshit you've been told and that your environment has put into you over the years. But if you literally live in an environment where that is a constant reminder of this is what you can achieve, this is what you can do, that guy's no different to you, that guy's no different to you, that girl's no hotter than your last girlfriend, or she's, you know what I'm saying, some bullshit, right? When you have these constant reminders in your environment, what you start to consume literally becomes you, because you cannot forget the ideal self that you're trying to become, okay? Rather than living in an environment like this, you know, if I was a big Porsche guy and I was like, I want a Porsche, I want a Porsche, I want a Porsche, you know, once a month I'll see like a nice Porsche. Oh, that's a cool Porsche. Oh, I remember I want that Porsche. Okay. You go down to Sydney, every mofo and their dog is goddamn in the Porsche, and it's like half scuffed up because they don't give a shit because everyone's got one, and it's just like a normal daily driver for 99% of people down there. Is that hyperbole? Yes, it is, of course, but still, you're going to see way more in an environment that is aligned with what you're trying to reach. So if you're trying to get a nice physique, you're not going to find an environment that supports that in your local pub, okay? But if you've always been raised in that environment, you're going to think that that is possible, okay? So it's not actually about what you want internally. It's not actually about all your desires and your dreams and everything that you're trying to work towards currently. Yes, that will help you get to your goal, but you're going to get to it a lot quicker if you're just in an environment that is aligned to that, okay? So how do we actually make this tangible and logical so you can actually take action steps from this video rather than me just talking like a dickhead with my shirt off in front of the pool, okay? A lot of the times, yes, the most beneficial thing that you can do, even though there's sacrifices involved, even though logistically it's always going to be hard, is to move to an environment that is going to help you achieve that, right? So for me, if I was a big Porsche guy and I wanted a Porsche and I wanted daily reminders to get a goddamn Porsche, I'd move to Sydney, or I'd move to Porscheville, wherever there was a bunch of Porsches, right? But that's not always possible, okay? Obviously, you know, you've got a job, you've got shit going on, you've got a girlfriend that doesn't want to move, whatever. That's fair enough, okay? Should you leave those things? Maybe, if you genuinely think that, and you genuinely care about reaching your desired self, and you know your desired self would do those things in order to reach that goal, and you prioritize that goal above all else, because remember, as a man, like, you will never feel fulfilled in your life. It doesn't matter how hot your girlfriend is. It doesn't matter what your physique looks like. It doesn't matter how much money you have. If you are not aligned with your truest, inmost purpose within your soul, then you will never be fulfilled, okay? Seriously, like, you can chase all this material, and again, it's coming from me, like, young guy. Do I know all this shit from, you know, from first-hand experience? Probably not, okay? But internally, even, you know, even as a guy, you watching this video, me speaking about this in this video, we all have our own little internal purpose that we're trying to reach. And you and me both know, like, don't bullshit yourself. I can't speak, guys. I'm running off like 3 hours sleep. Don't bullshit yourself. You know that when you're not aligned to your truest purpose, it does not matter how much money you have, it does not matter how good your life looks on the outside. If you are not following that shit and you are on that daily, even though it's hard when you are on that, like hard physically or mentally or emotionally or whatever, you know that when you are on that, you feel so much more internally fulfilled, okay? So ideally, you drop the shit that is holding you back in your current environment, and you either move to a new environment or you cultivate a new environment that's going to help you do that, okay? The easiest way to cultivate a new environment, if you're not willing to move or transfer or do any of that bullshit, is going to be the people around you. That is number one. That is so, so powerful, because as humans, again, it's not malicious. I talked about this in the previous video, but a lot of the times, if you have people around you that don't understand where you're trying to get to in life, or they're at least not on that same path as you, and they see you getting there, they see you leveling up, they see you becoming a new person or a different person or a better person, they're going to feel hurt if they don't have that courage within themselves to chase their own dreams, okay? So it doesn't matter if your path's not aligned to them. If they see that you have the internal courage or discipline or motivation to fulfill your dreams and to stay aligned to that path of the ideal self, they will be offended by that at the egoic level if they are a little bit of an insecure person, which is 99% of people these days, okay? So you have to be really careful with the people you have around you, because even if they seem like they're helping you on the outside, if they're not the right person, and just have a think, like when you're watching this video, you'll know internally, like you will be able to think, oh, that's my wife, or that's my friend, or whoever. You'll be able to think of the individual in your mind that is currently not aligned to supporting your ideal self, okay? So it's really, really powerful that no matter how long you spent with them, no matter, you know, what you've been through with them, like all of this shit matters. I'm not here to tell you like some fake motivational bullshit, just get rid of all your friends and go hustle, go grind mode and go do push-ups in the rain and all this bullshit. But you need to understand that if you have those people in your life, they are literally stopping you from achieving your future ideal self. They are stopping you from fulfilling your purpose, and internally that's making you weaker. The more you stand up for that bullshit, the more you go through that day to day to day, it's going to make you weaker, and you can't suddenly expect to get out of that rut, okay? Everything is momentum, especially with the gym and all this shit. If you are currently being held down by other people, even if it is minimal, even if it's just a little comment here and there, even if it is a little, just a little remark here and there, okay? Even if it's something minor, that is weight added to your ankles for you trying to move towards your goal, okay? And what you really need is not any weight. You need people that uplift you, okay? Everything in this life is like opportunity cost, and more importantly, there's a thing called like the region beta paradox, okay? Essentially, it's where, you know, we'll commonly be in an environment that is not favorable, but because it is just comfortable enough, we're not willing to move out of that. We need environments that sometimes make us so uncomfortable and make us feel so shit, or, you know, sacrifice a lot, that that pain actually amplifies us and accelerates us out of that situation into a better one. 99% of people's problems is not that they live in a sucky place, it's actually that they live in a good enough place where they can just live, experience a bit of pain, experience a bit of pleasure, and that's what they're comfortable within. Sometimes you need to actually remove all comfort, get rid of that shit, get rid of that friend, get rid of that girlfriend if she's holding you back, whatever, no relationship advice, but get rid of the things that are holding you back so that then you can sit in a bit of pain, a pool of pain, if you will, and that will help you kick your ass to get out of that, okay? So stop telling yourself, oh no, I'll get into the gym eventually, or, you know, I don't look that bad. One of my mates at the pub, he's way fatter than me, or, you know, a common thing I hear is like, you know, yeah, I'm overweight, yeah, I'm not happy with my physique, but I started going to the gym. Like, I'm genuinely very, very proud of you. If you just started going to the gym, or you've started to take steps towards your ideal self and you're taking those actions every single day, I'm genuinely proud of you. But don't let that little dopamine hit of satisfaction, discipline, motivation, whatever you call it, don't let that stop you from getting to that higher level, because me and you both know that when you give yourself that little pat on the back, if that's stopping you from achieving your purpose, none of that shit matters, okay? We care about the internal drive, we care about the internal feeling of being aligned to our path. It doesn't matter what everyone says on the outside. Oh, good job, you started going to the gym. We don't give a shit about those people because they're most likely fat, they're most likely broke, they're most likely unhappy, divorced, whatever, okay? 99% of the time, you should only listen to yourself unless you have some sort of mentor or person in your circle that's doing better than you in the field that you're currently trying to achieve, okay? So if you're overweight currently, don't listen to people like your mates or whoever at the pub that are overweight too, okay? It's fairly obvious, but this shit needs to be said because more often than not in life, we can get stuck within the circle that we're currently in, and we can think that everything else is okay because, again, we're comfortable. There's no pain behind it. So we think, okay, well, I'm comfortable and, you know, life's okay, I guess. Maybe I should start to listen to these people because they seem happy, right? But internally, they're going through the same struggles as you, except they don't have the balls to go straight into the darkness, if you will, and chase their dreams, okay? So that's really important. Cut those mofos off. And then additionally, I mean, like, again, this is not relationship advice, whether friends or whatever, but seriously, if those people are bothering you, and again, this is a really important thing that I talked to one of my clients, Kieran, about recently, is that if they were really your friends, if they genuinely, truly cared about you, then they would A, understand where you're trying to get to, and they would support you anyway. You shouldn't even have the thought in your mind that that person is holding you back, okay? You will know when you have really good friends that support you, because even if you're doing some shit that is going to hurt the relationship or is going to upset them, so say for example, you move country or you break up with the girl or whatever, if they truly loved you, if they truly cared about you, they would support that decision. Yes, they may be upset in the moment. Yes, they may be a little bit angry or whatever, but truthfully, you will know and they will know in their heart that it's best for you, okay? So if you're even having the thought of like, oh no, maybe I should do that, I don't know how he'd react, he probably doesn't give a shit about you, or she doesn't give a shit about you, okay? That's number one. All right, so we talked about friends and relationships and stuff like that. The next thing that you need to understand is, again, going back to the idea of you are what you consume, okay? So once you've removed the major things that are holding you back, that being individuals in your life that are really damaging, or I guess a good analogy is like putting the weights on your ankles so you can't move as quick, okay? Once you've gotten rid of those people, or at least minimize them, okay, so just going back on that 1 second, if you minimize these people, if you remove them temporarily, you will start to realize who cares about you and what you're doing and what you're trying to accomplish and who doesn't. Because the ones that you remove temporarily, they will reach out and make sure that you're okay. Okay, so when I was in school, I used to deal with a lot of bullshit. I hated my friends. I hated everything that was going on at school, but I didn't have the balls to actually do anything about it. So instead, I just tried to people please. I tried to make everyone happy. I was being a little pussy. And as a result, I was very, very unhappy, okay? Maybe you're in that position, maybe you're not. But I'm sure you can think of some area in your life right now where you're sacrificing your own internal happiness just to fulfill everyone else around you, when in reality, everyone else around you is actually unhappy as well, because they see that you're a little pussy. And nobody wants to hang out with a pussy. You don't want to hang out with a pussy. You don't want to be a pussy. So stop acting like a pussy. And it's better to actually get rid of those people and see who reaches back out and who doesn't, okay? So when I did that in school, left every single group chat, deleted all this bullshit, deleted all these apps, got rid of everything, and out of like the 20, 30 friends I had that I saw every single day at school and that I was friends with after school, none of them reached back out to me when I got rid of them, okay? Now what's happened to those individuals? Well, they're all unhappy. You hear through the grapevine that they're all, one mofo's had a kid, and then one mofo's sleeping with his the other's girlfriend, and then one mofo's like an alcoholic now, and then one mofo like literally can't take a shit without vaping because he's addicted to nicotine, like all this bullshit, okay? So you start to realize that those individuals were never your they were never your friends originally, but B, they're headed for a path of self-destruction, so you need to cut them off because they will take you with them, okay? So that's it on the relationship part. Once you have removed those individuals from your life, or at least you've minimized them temporarily, you'll start to realize that the actions you're doing day to day are still aligned with those people that you were trying to impress, okay? So the foods that you eat, the music you listen to, the way that you speak, the ideas you have, these are all aligned to what society wants you to have because it's best for consumerism, and it's also best for fulfilling the little shitty circle that you've built up because everyone else around you does this thing, so why don't you do it too, okay? So, you know, you'll go to school, or you'll hang out with people all your life, and you'll go to the pub and blah, 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 blah. When you start to cut out these people and you realize they're actually never your friends because you no longer go to the pub, you're still going to realize that you have the habits of wanting to go to the pub. You're still going to realize that you have the habits of listening to the same music, or being the same depressed individual, or, you know, complaining about random shit that doesn't even matter, that you can't change. You're still going to have all these negative habits that you need to remove, okay? So the easiest way to do that is do an audit. So figure out like, first of all, it's a lot easier to think about the future and your desires and dreams rather than it is to think about the negative stuff that you do. So first of all, you want to think, okay, what type of person am I trying to be? What am I trying to accomplish? Who is that individual? How does he act in every single scenario that I do currently, okay? So don't just think about like, you know, oh, he's jacked or he's rich or whatever. Be hyper specific, like autistically specific, and think about, okay, this individual, what does he eat every single day? Okay, what does he think about the food that he eats? Okay, so if you're currently struggling to eat, you know, healthier foods because you've never eaten that way, or you don't know how to cook that way, or you don't have time, you tell yourself like all this bullshit, right? But regardless, it still is a factor, so let's not degrade it. But if you tell yourself this, you need to think about, okay, what does this individual that I'm trying to become, what does he think about food? How did he figure out a way to make this easier for himself, okay? So stop thinking about your little current self where you're like, oh, I'm stuck and life's so hard and blah, 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 blah. You just need to think about, okay, this future self that I'm trying to accomplish, how would he problem solve in this exact situation? What would he say to me currently in order to help me overcome this, okay? So that's what you need to think about. Once you've thought about all these individual things, so don't just think about the gym, don't just think about relationships, don't just think about, you know, your business or your sales job or whatever you're working on currently. Think about every single little thing. What time does he go to bed? How does he treat other people? How does he treat himself, okay? What content does he consume? Does he listen to music? What music does he listen to? What things uplift him and inspire him and make him happy? And what things does he put boundaries on to remove any sort of negativity that he currently doesn't have in his life but used to, aka used to being you currently, okay? So you want to think about this future self. You want to think about, what am I trying to accomplish? What am I trying to do day to day and moment to moment in order to become that better self and embody that self? And you want to start to align your actions to that. And you'll quickly realize that there's a bit bit of a dissonance between that thing. This perfect self is doing one thing and you're currently doing the opposite. That's actually a good thing if you realize that. It's gonna hurt a little bit because you're gonna realize how messed up your life is, how shitty the position you're in is, but that's actually really, really good because again, we're removing any sort of comfort. We're removing this fake bullshit blanket of like everything's okay. We're dropping it and we're realizing, oh shit, I'm actually in an undesirable position right now, which is gonna help you accelerate towards your goal because no longer are you bullshitting yourself. No longer are you being a pussy. No longer does everyone else see you're a pussy. You would rather have friends and people in your life and be in an environment that makes you realize that you are currently weak, but you're on the path to becoming better, than you lying to yourself, everyone else lying to themselves about you, that, saying that you're okay, saying that you're happy, saying that you're all this bullshit, okay? This is like the common thing that everyone struggles with, is that they are doing things that are aligned to what makes other people happy. But the thing is, everyone else is doing that same shit and it's all perpetuated by marketing and all this garbage. So you find yourself living a lie, not living true to who you actually know you need to be, not living true to the goals that you're trying to achieve, losing weight, building muscle, feeling proud of yourself for once, and you realize that you're just trying to fulfill the desires of everyone else, and all those people are depressed and unhappy and broke and sad and lonely, okay? So get rid of those mofos, start aligning your actions to who you want to be. And then a really big thing that's going to happen is you're going to fail and you're going to look like a dickhead and you're going to feel sad and shit's not going to work out for you when you start to align yourself to that, because you're going to realize that if you could do those things easy, you would be that thing, right? I'm going to say that again. If you could do those actions easily that this future self is doing, you would be him. Okay, but you're not, because those actions are currently hard for you, okay? So instead of, trying to do the things that this guy's doing and then realizing, oh, I suck, I'm not there, making excuses, falling back into your old habits, listening to all the bullshit, societal garbage and relationships and all this shit that you've been told, you need to think, okay, I suck currently, that's okay, right? Drop the ego for a second. I'm not saying you have an ego, but everyone does, and it's gonna get hurt when you start to try, because it's gonna, again, the blanket's gonna be removed, okay? So accept that your ego is going to get a little bit hurt and you're going to realize I suck and I'm not good at this thing and it's painful, okay? If you're going to the gym, for example, for the first time, like it's not fun. It's never been fun. Anyone that says on the internet that it's a fun experience is not. They're bullshitting and they're just trying to farm you for motivation, because when they make you feel bad, then you are more likely to purchase, because again, you're taken out of that comfort zone, okay? So remember, this is all marketing. But when you realize this shit, you're going to go, oh, I suck. And that's okay. That's actually a good thing. When you suck repeatedly at something over and over again, you want to build systems to negate the suckiness, or at least realize why you are sucking, okay? If you just go through and do the same thing every single day and you realize you're not getting better at it, don't be a little boy and start crying about it and go, oh, I'm not good at that thing. I guess it's not for me. Some bullshit that you've been telling yourself all these years. I guess healthy eating isn't for me. Like, what? Mofo, you're born to eat healthily. You're not born to eat all this dog shit. Stop lying to yourself, okay? So you can say all this stuff and cope and not live true to your purpose, or you can like just grow up for a second and actually start to realize, no, I'm not good at this thing. How do I get better at it? And you can only realize that you can get better at it by being aware. So when you're cooking and you're shit at it, or when you're in the gym and it hurts, or when you're not comfortable with your body, you need to realize the emotions and the thoughts and the feelings that you're currently having and think about ways to either negate that or to accept that or to improve at that, okay? So a lot of the time in the gym, you will never be able to build your dream physique unless you first remove the mental blocks that are stopping you from achieving that real physique, okay? This is a really common one. 99% of the time it's subconscious with your ability to work on your exercise and stuff like that, because you have some sort of limiting thought against the idea of becoming that perfect self, right? Just imagine for a second, like that guy's jacked, or you can use a wealth example, whatever. We'll use a health example for this. Imagine that future example of you is jacked, he's looking sexy, whatever. He's got high confidence because of his body. Just think for a second, why don't I have that, okay? And don't write some shit like, oh, my metabolism, or my genes, or my family, or some external shit that you can't control and, maybe isn't real or is not real. It doesn't really matter because you can't control it. So it's irrelevant. So cut that shit out. Think about, okay, like a common thing for a lot of people trying to lose weight is that they actually judge people who are jacked. They think they're like jocks, or they think they're like, fitness freaks or something like that. They have some sort of like term in their mind that they call those people, but yet they want to be those people. But they don't want to be those people, and they can't take the actions towards becoming that person because they have a limiting belief and they have a false identity of that thing. And if you think negatively about any part of the future self that you're trying to reach, if you think it requires sacrifice, if you think it requires hard work, if you think it requires changing your whole personality, again, it may require some of these things, but if you associate negativity with those ideas, you will never reach it because as humans, we are always running away from pain. We're never going towards, we're never going to go towards something that is painful. So if you think that the journey will be hard, if you think that that future self is unhappy, but he's jacked, or you think he's a jock, or whatever you think, you will never reach that because you actually associate negativity with that thing. So you first need to become comfortable with the idea that you currently are that future self, you just haven't done the actions necessary to do it. And the reason you haven't done those actions is because you're not good enough, is because you have some limiting beliefs, or you weren't aware enough throughout the process, so you made the same mistakes and you weren't improving, okay? So that is pretty much everything for this video. It felt a little bit all over the place, but I hope you gained some sort of value from it. Again, yes, your environment matters. Yes, the things that you're putting in your mouth make you become the person that you're trying to be. But more importantly, it's not just what you eat and digest, but it's also what you consume. It's around the voices that you hear from other people. It's around the shit that you watch on your phone or on the TV, or I mean, I could go on and on about, you know, media and all that bullshit. But the music that you listen to, every single thing that you put into you, you need to ask yourself, is this aligned to the future self that I'm trying to be? Okay? And more importantly, when you realize that future self and you realize the actions he takes on a day-to-day, moment-to-moment basis, you need to understand that if you have any sort of negative belief towards that thing, you will never reach it because you cannot move towards pain. I'll repeat that, you cannot move towards pain. You can only grow towards pleasure. You need to associate this best self with your best life, your happiest life, your most fulfilled life. If there's any sort of sacrifice or pain or negativity involved in the process, you will never reach it because you're not, because you don't have the drive to move towards it. There's no reward, there's only pain at the end if you believe that, and you'll never reach it if that's the case, okay? So I hope this video helped you. If it did, leave me a comment, let me know if there was a part that you didn't enjoy, or there was a part that you did enjoy. Let me know, again, all off the top of the dome, so hopefully this shit made sense. If not, whatever. Okay, catch you later.